Let's talk about an introduction to figurative language. What is figurative language? Figurative language is language that uses words or expressions with a meaning that is different from the literal interpretation. So you're saying something without really saying it directly. What is literal language? Literal language is when we really mean what we say. Example, I'm so hungry, I could eat a sandwich. That's pretty literal. It means true. When a writer uses literal language, he or she is simply stating the facts as they are. The grass is green. We can see outside that the grass is green. Idiom. This is a term that refers to a phrase made up of two or more words. The phrase is understood to mean something quite different from what the individual words of the phrase would imply. Example, crying over spilt milk, or a cat got your tongue. You can't take these phrases literally. It just means that you are unable to speak or that you're upset about a situation that has already happened. A simile is a figure of speech that makes a comparison, showing similarities between two different things. A simile shows similarities with the help of the words like or as. An example would be, she is as busy as a bee, comparing the little girl to the bee without actually calling her a bee. Hyperbole is a figure of speech that involves an exaggeration of ideas for the sake of emphasis. Example, my grandmother is as old as the hills. We know that's not possible, but grandma must be pretty old. An alliteration is a stylistic device in which a number of words having the same first consonant sound occur close together in a series. An example would be, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You hear the p all through this phrase. A metaphor is a figure of speech that makes an implied comparison between two things that are unrelated but which share some common characteristics. An example would be, the assignment was a breeze. That means it's kind of easy. Metaphors do not use the words like or as. That is how you can differentiate between a metaphor or a simile. You are the apple of my eye. Not literally, because I don't have an apple in my eye, but I do adore you. Personification is a figure of speech in which a thing, an idea, or an animal is given human attributes. The non-human objects are portrayed in such a way that we feel they have the ability to act like human beings. An example would be, the sun danced on the water as it set this afternoon. Humans dance, the sun does not, so we made the sun seem human. An oxymoron is a figure of speech in which two opposite ideas are joined to create an effect. An example would be seriously funny, awfully pretty, or icy hot. Individually, these words would be the opposite of each other, but together they give you the emphasis on something else. Onomatopoeia is defined as a word which imitates the natural sound of a word or thing. It creates a sound effect that mimics the thing described, making this description more expressive and interesting. Examples would be swish, boom, bang, neigh, moo, or buzz. They name the sounds that they create. Imagery means to use figurative language to represent objects, actions, and ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical senses. An example would be, it was dark and dim in the forest. That helps you visualize what the forest looked like. Symbolism is the use of symbols to signify ideas and qualities by giving them symbolic meanings that are different from their literal sense. Examples include the dove is a simple symbol of peace, and red represents love. An allusion is a brief and indirect reference to a person, place, thing, or idea of historical, cultural, literary, or political significance. An example would be, don't act like a Romeo in front of her. Romeo is a reference to Shakespeare's Romeo. An assonance takes place when two or more words close to one another repeat the same vowel sound but start with different consonant sounds. We light fire on the mountain. Consonance refers to repetitive sounds produced by consonants within the sentence or phrase. An example, Shelley sells shells by the seashore. A proverb is a short saying stating a belief or wise saying. Examples include, the early bird catches the worm, meaning those who get up early accomplish and achieve more. Or the grass isn't always greener on the other side, meaning other people's lives are not usually as perfect as they seem from the outside, so be happy with what you have. Irony in literature is typically when the opposite of what you think will happen, happens. It can also be when what someone says is something different from what they meant. Kids are terrifying. It's ironic because those monsters who are terrifying to kids think that that child is terrifying. Or nothing is ever written in stone, meaning it's never permanent. Here is a link if you wanted to also review these words again on the Google Drive.